Today, I want to take a detailed look at one of the smallest but most iconic components of Windows, the Run dialog box. For most users, it's something they barely think about, but for power users, IT administrators, system engineers, and anyone who frequently navigates Windows beyond the surface level, the Run box is an essential tool. It has been part of the operating system for nearly 3 decades, appearing first in Windows 95, and ever since then, it has remained almost completely unchanged. In fact, for years, it looked identical to the Windows XP and Windows 7 versions, even as the rest of Windows evolved around it. But now, after all this time, Microsoft has finally introduced a modern redesign of the Run dialog in Windows 11 preview builds. At first glance, it may seem like a very small update, but once you use it for a little while, it becomes clear why this change is meaningful. Today, I'm going to walk through what exactly is new, why Microsoft updated it now, and what this means for the overall direction of Windows. To start, the biggest noticeable change is the visual design. The new Run dialog aligns with the modern Windows 11 aesthetic, using elements from Fluent Design and WinUI. That means the classic sharp-edged minimal box has now been replaced with rounded corners, refreshed typography, softer shadows, and more consistent spacing. This alone makes the dialog feel like it finally belongs in Windows 11 rather than being a leftover relic from older versions of the OS. Another key improvement is the size and layout. The classic Run dialog was extremely small and visually compressed. On modern high DPI screens or touch devices, the old UI simply didn't scale well. The updated version is larger, more readable, and easier to interact with. The input field is given more emphasis, making commands clearer and reducing the chance of mistyping. This is a quality of life upgrade that will matter especially for users who frequently use Run for system tasks, shortcuts, or administrative tools. There's also a new addition that hasn't been part of the Run dialog before, a recent commands list. When you open the Modern Run dialog, you can now see your previously executed commands displayed above the text field. This is extremely helpful if you use Run repeatedly throughout the day. Instead of retyping long or complex commands, you can simply select them from the list and launch them instantly. It's a simple feature, but one that genuinely improves productivity. Another small but thoughtful change is the presence of inline icons. When you type a program name or command and Windows recognizes the application, the Run dialog displays its icon or a visual confirmation. This reduces uncertainty and gives you a clearer idea of what you're about to launch. It's a more modern approach to user feedback, and it shows that Microsoft is not just reskinning the tool, they're improving it. Theme consistency is another important part of this update. One of the biggest criticisms of Windows over the years has been the coexistence of modern UI elements with legacy components that still use old design frameworks. With this redesign, the Run dialog now supports dark mode properly. When your system is set to dark mode, the dialog matches it. This may seem minor, but visual consistency across the operating system is essential for a coherent user experience, and this update is a step in that direction. Now, it's important to note what hasn't changed. The functionality of the Run dialog remains exactly the same. You can still use it to launch applications, open file paths, execute system utilities, and run specialized commands. Microsoft has not altered its purpose. The update is focused on usability, consistency, and modern design. This means experienced users will feel right at home, while new users will get a more polished experience. It's also worth mentioning that, at least for now, the modern version appears to be optional in preview builds. Some users are able to switch between the classic and modern UI. This makes sense during testing because Microsoft may still be gathering feedback before finalizing the design for public release. So the bigger question is, why did Microsoft update it now after nearly 30 years? The answer is that Microsoft is pushing toward a long-term goal of removing legacy UI elements throughout Windows. Over the past few years, we've seen updates to the Settings app, context menus, File Explorer, volume sliders, and even system dialogues like the Task Manager. The Run dialog is another piece of that larger modernization puzzle. Updating it not only brings visual consistency, but also demonstrates that Microsoft is continuing to refine even the smallest parts of the OS. In conclusion, the new Run dialog may appear like a minor change on the surface, but it represents a larger shift toward a cleaner, more unified Windows experience. It modernizes an essential tool without altering its core function, and it brings small but meaningful improvements in usability, design, and accessibility. Whether you're opening the command prompt, launching the registry editor, navigating to a system folder, or simply checking your workflow tools, this redesign makes the experience feel fresher, more cohesive, and more future-ready. If Microsoft continues updating legacy elements with this level of attention, Windows will slowly become more visually consistent and significantly more polished.